Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And welcome to all of our friends who have joined us from all around the world. In some ways, I feel like I especially need to reach out to our friends and our brothers and sisters in the United States, because I think in many ways this has been a particularly challenging time for American Muslims. And I know in speaking to friends, colleagues, individuals that we work with, scholars, activists, the last few weeks has been a time of soul searching. It's been a time of really recalibrating what it means to be Muslim, American, and an activist. And, you know, my background, born in Toronto, but having been involved in the good old days with MSAs and ISNA and all these kind of transnational organizations that were committed to establishing Islam and Islamic activism in North America, I really appreciate the work that our elders and our mothers and fathers did to really create institutions, places of prayer, of learning, and so on. But in these last few weeks, I think we've all been thinking about what we need to do. And I know that, you know, our teachers and our mentors tonight are gonna share some very specific advice. But one of the things that I've been thinking about, and I think I've been thinking about for a long time, but in some ways, Ahmed, it's occurred to me that, you know, you always think of when you're an activist and you're engaged in what you hope is the work of the common good, not just good for our own communities, but good for the communities that we live in, the places, the countries, and the cities, the environments that we belong to, that I think as Muslims we feel like, what is the moral and ethical message? What are we trying to achieve based on our morality, what Allah and His Messenger have given us? What is the kind of transformation we want to see in the societies around us for the good of all? How do we ameliorate injustice? How do we ensure that we alleviate poverty? How do we give an equality of opportunities to everyone? How do we make sure that people's physical needs are met? But in so many ways, what I think we've recognized over the years is, and what we've seen and what we've come to understand, is that not only do we need to meet those practical needs of people, but we also need to meet the spiritual needs of people. And one of the things that occurred to me, especially in the last few weeks as we've been looking at the aftermath of the election of Donald Trump, is that there's been a lot of talk, particularly this last week, about fake news. Commentators have been speaking about fake news. New York Times and the Washington Post have been reporting on what the CIA is saying about fake news, what the FBI is saying about fake news, what the National Director of Security and Intelligence is saying about fake news, and how each and every one of these agencies is concerned that because of the production of news that was simply untrue, it influenced what happened during this election. It actually influenced behavior. And I think in the social media world, we all recognize what the pitfalls of that are. How do we judge what is correct, what is appropriate, what is real, what is truthful? And how do we separate that from that which is patently untrue, that is patently false, and that is actually false in order to lead us astray and lead us into adopting positions that sometimes we may not otherwise have adopted? I think in the same way that there has been fake news, there's fake religion. And I think particularly as Muslims, this is a concern for us. In the age of Sheikh Google, what do we see other than a plethora, a avalanche, a tsunami of fake religion, fake fatwas, poorly constructed judgments, literalist views that are not based on the depth of tradition, that aren't based on knowledge, that aren't based on established scholarship or even scholarly debates, but things that are really intended to lead us into a place that I would say is nothing other than astray. And I think one of the things, and I know this as an educator and as often a youth worker, is that young people in particular are confronted with a lot of bad religion and fake religion. And at Seekers Hub, one of the interesting things that we found over the years is how many people, young women, young men in particular, feed back to us. They're in high school, they're in university, they're starting their careers, and they feed back to us and they say, I've actually been ingesting a diet of poorly construed religion for a long time. And I reached a crisis in my life, and I realized that all the answers that fake religion was giving me just simply wasn't good enough. And for many of them, platforms like Seekers Hub, because of its power online and the fact that we literally have millions of people accessing answers that are relevant and speak to their lives, content that addresses what's happening now, not just what happened in the past, and courses which are designed to feed into your life in the day-to-day and the messiness of what we go through in our lives. That is precisely why today, in discussing this topic, we know that there's a lot of things that we need to do, but one of the things that we need to do is to strengthen those institutions of learning, of knowledge that are accessible to all. And I think one of the things that we are able to offer, and what partner organizations like Al-Ihsan Institute in the UK and others are offering, is relevance. Is relevance and speaking to what is happening now. So today, as we begin this program and we invite our first keynote speaker to speak to us, I want us to think about what are the institutions, the platforms, and the ways in which we can fight fake religion and bad religion. And we would like to put to you that in these last few weeks of 2016 and these last few weeks of our Fight with Light campaign, that you would consider becoming a monthly donor. Even a small amount given monthly will help support this platform. The platform is free, accessible, but free doesn't mean without cost. As Sidi Ahmed pointed out, it means that there are actually hundreds of volunteers, maybe more, around the world who make this platform exist. There's a small team that exists in several countries, and together we try to coordinate this information, this knowledge, this relevant knowledge and guidance being made accessible to you. Today is a day we can fight fake news and bad religion. Today is a day we can renew our covenant to the morals and ethics of the Prophet. Today is a day that we say, whatever happens with Trump or Brexit or all of the challenges we face, our Prophet ﷺ called us to be of manifest service to others, to alleviate injustice, and to work for the good of all. SeekersHub.org/donate. Please become a monthly donor. If you can't become a monthly donor, give once, maybe yearly. I know we have incredible resources in our communities, and there's a lot of amazing institutions in North America and around the world that deserve our support. We'd like you to make Seekers Hub part of your giving tonight. Back to you.